They say a man named Adele found a way to bring back his dead wife through a hellish spell. But every resurrection demands a sacrifice. More than a decade ago, in a small town nestled between hills, Adele lived with his beloved wife, Ruqayya. But fate had a cruel plan. One day, while baking cookies, Ruqayya slipped and cut her hand badly. The wound wouldn't stop bleeding, and she felt weak. Her husband rushed her to the hospital, but there wasn't anything they could do.
Ho, ho, ho!
In a few hours, she passed away. Grief-stricken, Adele couldn't accept his wife's death. For weeks, he stayed by her grave, talking to it, crying. One evening, as rain poured, he stumbled upon an antique book titled The Hellish Spell. It spoke of forbidden magic, but something compelled Adele to read it. Then he found it, the resurrection spell, promising to raise the dead for a single night. However, it came with a warning. Those who return forget death, but death never forgets them.
Ho, ho, ho!
He paid no heed. All that mattered was bringing his wife back, even if just for a night. That's when Adele learned that the spell required a human sacrifice. In exchange for bringing the dead back, one must vanish forever. But he didn't care. Only after finishing the ritual did he realize the full gravity of his choice. That night, under a blood moon, he began chanting the incantation. Lightning flashed, thunder boomed, and his yard became a vortex of energy.
Ho, ho, ho!
With a final cry, he completed the spell. Then he went to his car, threw in the coffin, and drove to the cemetery. As he dug up the coffin, Adele prayed it wasn't too late. Opening it, he found his wife's still form. Taking her out, he carried her inside, wrapping her in a bloody sheet. As he climbed the stairs, he heard a voice, "Whose body is that? Start!" Startled, Adele froze. The voice was his wife.
Ho, ho, ho!
Turning slowly, he saw her sitting on the couch, looking at him with wide eyes. "Ruqayya, is that really you?" His voice trembled with disbelief and joy. She smiled sweetly. "Of course. Where have you been all this time?" Adele couldn't believe his dream was real. But then he noticed the blood on his hands and the torn grave clothes. Was it just a dream? He looked at Ruqayya, but she seemed puzzled. "Why are you covered in blood?" she asked, standing up.
Ho, ho, ho!
When she reached out to touch him, Adele flinched. Looking into her eyes, he saw a fleeting darkness. Then it was gone. The loving wife he knew returned. And in that moment, he forgot about the sacrifice, the warning from the book. All that mattered was being with his wife again. They spent the night reminiscing about their life together, laughing, crying. And as dawn approached, Adele felt a surge of happiness. He had a second chance with his wife, a night of love before saying goodbye again.
Ho, ho, ho!
But as the first light peeked through the curtains, he noticed his wife's face change. Her skin grew cold, her eyes distant. He shook her, calling her name, but she didn't respond. The spell was wearing off. In panic, Adele tried to revive her, but it was no use. She collapsed in his arms, her eyes turning white. Terror gripped him. He had brought her back, but she was now truly dead. Just then, the clock struck 3 a.m.
Ho, ho, ho!
Heavy thuds echoed in the hallway. Adele turned, his blood running cold. The coffin he had buried just hours ago was gone. Not knowing what to do, he went downstairs. There he saw blood drops leading to the kitchen. His wife's body lay on the floor, lifeless. Fear clutched at his heart. What was happening? Had bringing her back caused this? Suddenly, he remembered the book's warning. Those who return forget death, but death never forgets them.
Ho, ho, ho!
Could this be its doing? Overwhelmed with dread, he looked at his wife. Was she still alive? And if so, what would she become after forgetting death? He screamed her name, but she remained unresponsive. Grasping her hand, he felt ice. She was freezing. Horror filled him. What had he unleashed? The sun started rising, casting long shadows. Adele couldn't understand what was happening. Why was his wife's body freezing? Had he made a terrible mistake?
Ho, ho, ho!
Suddenly, the front door burst open, shattering the silence. Adele whipped around, fear gripping him. Standing in the doorway was a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing red. Behind it a voice echoed, "Hello, Adele, start." Adele recognized that voice. It was his wife's, yet distorted, as if from beyond the grave. His blood ran cold. What had he done? Was this the price he had to pay? He wanted to scream, to run, but terror froze him in place.
Ho, ho, ho!
The dark figure advanced, and Adele instinctively recoiled. He had to escape, to hide. But where could he go? Panic surged through him. Trapped in his own house, he searched frantically for an exit. The figure moved closer, its presence suffocating him. In desperation, he raced to the front door, flinging it open and racing outside. Breathless, he glanced back. To his horror, the door vanished, replaced by a solid wall.
Ho, ho, ho!
He pounded it, screaming for help, but his cries were swallowed by the rising sun. Hope flickered as he spotted a window. Perhaps he could climb out. But as he neared it, the glass shattered, cutting his arm. Pain lanced through him, and he watched in disbelief as blood trickled down his arm. It pulsed like a dark heartbeat, echoing the sinister rhythm of his terror. In a panic, he backed away, realizing the house had trapped him.
Ho, ho, ho!
Then he heard a soft voice behind him, looking for a way out. Adele, start. Slowly, he turned. There stood his wife, her eyes burning red. Beside her, the dark figure from before emerged, its form solidifying into a horrifying specter. Adele stumbled back, tripping over a chair. As he fell, the book flew from his grasp, landing open at the final line, "One returns, one must vanish." His wife's voice echoed, laced with triumph. "Thank you for freeing me," she said.
Ho, ho, ho!
But it wasn't her voice alone. Another voice intertwined with hers, darker, sinister, and "thank you for the sacrifice." Adele struggled to comprehend, fear paralyzing him. Then he remembered the book's warning. Those who return forget death, but death never forgets them. The entity beside his wife was death himself, come to claim his due. The house shook, the windows rattled, and death extended a skeletal hand toward Adele. In that moment, he understood the gravity of his actions.
Ho, ho, ho!
Chanting the spell had disrupted the balance, and now he was the price to be paid. He had wished to defy death, to cheat its embrace. But in doing so, he had opened the door to unimaginable horrors. Now, as death loomed over him, he realized the folly of his actions. The price of defying death was his very soul. Yet, despite the terror that consumed him, a sliver of hope remained. If the spell could bring his wife back, could it also save him? Desperate, he reached for the book, his last chance.
Ho, ho, ho!
Maybe there was another spell, a way to undo the curse. But as he touched the worn pages, death's icy fingers closed around his throat. He gasped, struggling for breath. The room spun, and he slumped to the floor, the book falling shut. By morning, the neighbors found the house empty. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, only an ancient book on the table titled, "The Hellish Spell Never Read Twice."
Ho, ho, ho!
The story serves as a reminder that some doors are best left unopened, and some secrets are best left buried. It teaches us that our deepest desires can lead us to unimaginable horrors, and that death, once embraced, is never truly avoidable.
Ho, ho, ho!